Hello guys and welcome to the SA DPC, the last DPC game of the day. We are back with Division 1. It's Infamous versus Hokori on this wonderful matchup for the week. To be the match that's going to be starting us out, and a really important match for especially Hokori, who desperately needs this win against Infamous after not doing so hot in their first week. My name is Epulze. I'm joined here by Hokori's ex-coach Astini and by a wonderful 5-player by the name of Duster. How are you doing, guys?
Hello, doing super well and super excited for today. Because even though you mentioned that Hokori, they didn't do well at the first series, it was against Thunder Predator, and I think they showed good Dota.
I agree.
And on the other hand, we have Infamous, which won against Infinity. They played well, but those were close games. It was 2-1. So I really think like we have a match here that can go to the third game. Any team can win. So pretty excited.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Infinity played a really solid game against Infamous as well, both them and Hokori. I was actually doing analysis of the replays for Hokori versus Thunder, and especially the first game, which I know you were on the panel there for, Duster, was really impressive by Hokori. I thought their team fighting in general was incredible. Do you remember that game, Duster, the Bloodseeker game?
Yeah. Hokori fights pretty well, that's for sure. Playing against arguably the best team in the league, probably.
Yeah, up there with Beast Coast.
I remember they were countered by the saves from Pandabu, but they still managed to win some fights, get kills. I thought Acel didn't have the greatest silencer game. We're even joking that maybe it was better for him to just stay at the fountain and press his ultimate.
Yeah, Gardic was struggling with that. Also in that game, I also remember, and there's something I want to mention and see if Duster, if you agree. It was Analog Zeus, if you recall, did not build the Ags that game, which in hindsight, that build looked pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching the replay and it's like that build did not look very convincing to me. I know you commented on it in the post game as well.
It needed X. I don't see Zeus working nowadays without X. I mean, X is so good. My dog's named Nimbus. How good this X is. No jokes.
Does that come from Dota or does that come from your meteorology class?
Both.
Oh, nice.
The Dota has a huge weight on it.
But yes, we're gonna see what Hokori does, because until now, where they've excelled has been more with their unique drafts. RDO was telling us a bit that he liked Yuma particularly because he was a very versatile carry. You worked with them, Hokori. Sorry, you worked with them, Astini. What did you agree with that statement? Do you think Yuma's strength is his versatility as a carry?
Yeah, like the guy, I don't know how he plays that much Dota 2. Like, because if you go to his profile, he's like 26 with Meepo, which is not a hard carry. Like, it's a mid laner, but he's like, oh, but let's try as a carry. Like, he plays a lot of like Magnus carry, and then he plays all the other carries. Like, he's gonna be, I don't know, 18 Phantom Lancer, 18 Bloodseeker, like any hero, he's like 18 plus on Dota plus, which means like he has spammed the hero. And basically, like, usually you spend 2 or 3 heroes, he spent 20 heroes. I just don't know how.
Can I ask you if he does this by like streaks? Do you know? Like, does he spam one hero that he thinks is strong and then switches to another one? Or does he just play whatever he wants every game?
I guess he plays whatever he wants, but there are times that he feels super comfortable with one hero and then he's gonna play a lot. Like, let's say the Magnus carry. He was doing really good with the hero when he was playing for those NA stacks. And then he tried with us once or twice. He saw it didn't work and kind of gave up. So kind of meta dependent, yeah.
Okay. And now we see the starting picks, guys, is Tidehunter plus Shadow Shaman and Hokori, and then Infamous, we see the TA plus Grimstroke. I'm going to start with you, Astini, the master of all regions. We see the Shadow Shaman being picked a fair amount in other regions, particularly in Western Europe, where they're seeing a lot of strength to the hero, but not much in SA. Are you a fan of the hero currently? Do you think he's quite strong?
I'm not a big fan because it had bad win rate when I looked at it. It feels strong, but...
Thank you.
But yeah, seriously, because then I was thinking, like, usually when you take Shadow Shaman, you're like, can Lion do better? And then you have, like, on top that you have the siege damage. But the thing is, like, what I feel is the meta has changed to a faster pace with the shards at 15-minute mark. So Shadow Shaman, he is now better than Lion. But I still don't think like both of the heroes are still not on the best spot because they're just like broken heroes, and you want to go with the broken heroes. Like let's say you can play Ink 4, which gives you the siege damage. Of course, doesn't give you the control that Shadow Shaman gives to you, but you have Ravage, so you have massive stun, you have lots of team fight, and you can just get a hero that's gonna help you snowball even better. You're not gonna be on another huge cooldown as the Tide Hunter.
Do you agree with that assessment, Duster, or do you find the Shadow Shaman to be a strong hero?
I think the hero is pretty strong, but I would prefer him play Radiant, because the change of the Serpent Wars, they do so much more damage to Roche. I'm even seeing on my pubs level 6 Shaman just wanting to smoke and go kill Roche with +1 only.
Yes.
There's even a strat to solo kill or something, so yeah, I think the hero is pretty strong if you can snowball with Roche, so I would prefer to see him on Radiant for sure.
Love that point, though I will make a caveat for those people that do watch a lot of Reddit. That post on Reddit was fake. It's wrong, because they essentially soloed Roche at level, when Roche is at the first minute, with Shaman level 6. And unless you're hacking, you're not going to be Shaman level 6 at minute 0, right? At minute 10, if you're playing with Shaman, soloing Roche is much harder to do. It is possible, but it's not consistent. You depend a little bit on bashes and getting the right shackles and hex. And you probably need a core Shaman for that. But Duster is still right that the Shaman Wars deal a lot more damage to Roche ever since the piercing change, and it is certainly a viable strat close to +1. Which honestly, with Tide, it's possible, even if they're dire, right? There's minus armor, there's Shaman. Roche is a good idea. There's the Undying again. I saw this, I think it was NA that we were casting, I saw this a bunch in. Did not look good at all, to be honest with you, the Undying.
Again, is a hero that, like, you aim to playing fast, right? Because it's a lane dominator, or supposed to be. Venom, Viper are banned, Snapfire banned also, so like 3 ranged position 3 are banned, which is super great for him, because those are the heroes that make his life difficult. So I can see making sense here, yes.
What do you think of his lane against... Oh, actually, never mind, sorry. I spoke too soon. It's not revealed yet. Go on, sorry.
Like, just a little bit more on that snowball that I feel like even China, they're playing fast-paced. You see a lot of DP, TA, and I guess the meta has changed, but it's weird that like South American teams, they were always the best at like running at people in the map, but they usually do it as 4, while core is getting very, very fat. So like the Bisco style, you have like 4 heroes running all around and actor farming. And I feel like you need 5 heroes playing fast if you want to play fast. So you see like Tundra playing Io Gyro, and like Gyro is playing the entire map getting kills. So I'm very curious to see like if it's a TA carry from Infamous, because it seems like the hero that SA Dota plays best on this fast pace, because the timings are super clear. Like you have Dezo, you go Roche, you have BKB, you go high ground, and then you get a very active hard carry. So I really like to see the TA on Infamous, and I really hope it's a hard carry TA.
Okay. It seems like it with the Ogre match now covering it. Is going to settle for the Grimstroke Sanking lane. We've seen a lot of Sanking as well in many regions. A lot of people are putting him as a top offlaner. Would you agree with that, Duster? Do you find this hero very annoying right now?
Yeah, to me, probably the strongest offlaner. He just does so much damage and control. And I really like when you pair him up with Greenstroke. I prefer even more than Mirana, because you can chain stun so well with Wing Swell. And it's easier to do, and it's just so much burst. Green does helps with so much more damage to Sand King. Like one Ink Swell, and you can pretty much solo kill any hero with Epicenter also. I really like this combination.
You later get the double Burrow Strike as well with a Soulbind. There's a lot of combo here, I agree.
But it works, indeed.
Okay, and with this, Infamous also has a relatively fast tempo. You were talking about a bit of a snowball with the Undying Shaman. Do you think Hokori should push the tempo as well? Try to fight the early game as soon as possible?
Yeah, because of their picks, yes. The thing is, like, they cannot fight all the time, but they can have amazing team fights, especially around a 10, 11 minutes mark when they hit level 6 on Shaman. Because they have a lot of good team fight, but on big cooldowns. Infamous, on the other side, they don't rely on any cooldown, of course. It's great to fight with Epicenter. It's great if you have the Greenstroke ulti, so you have double stun. But they can like just run at heroes, and Hokori they can only fight when Ravage is up or Tombstone.
Do you like the tiny pick then with this, or do you think it's a bit slow?
I think it's a bit slow, but the hero is just too good, so you can pick it. Like honestly,
Fair.
if it was like an average hero on the meta, I would say no. But like where the hero stands is just amazing, no matter the game. Like you can see teams picking Tiny to Necrophos or some hard counter, and it still wins games. So it's just too strong.
Yeah, that's a good point. This leads more to what you were talking about, the traditional SA style, right? Where like Tiny's probably going to be farming first 20 minutes, and the rest of Hokori is most likely going to seek fights, right, Astini?
Yeah, but I think they should be like seeking fights par defending towers, which is weird when you have Shadow Shaman, because they can really bait initiations into Tidehunter or Undying,
Right.
and then pick good team fights. Because they lack a bit of mobility, but if you are diving then in their towers, they can really protect it. So I would love to see the Tidehunter like holding Ravage as long as possible, because as long as he has Ravage up, you are afraid of taking moves on Infamous side. So you can see like some collapsed Tidehunter games where he's gonna use the first Ravage at 29 minutes at a Roche fight. And I think as long as Hokori try to do the same, they should shut down Infamous pace.
Okay. The final picks here for Infamous and Hokori. Infamous most likely lacking a mid laner. What picks would you like to see here, Duster?
Some Astro mobility, something like a Spirit would fit best, I think, to help split push and also keep fighting with a good pace. Can connect with Sand Kingstones.
Would you be okay with the Quap as well, potentially, because that's a very lone pick?
Yeah, also pretty good. There it is.
You see, that's why that's the Duster. You know, I set you up for that one. Hokori immediately answered with the Invoker. There's the Invoker for analog. The picks are finalized, and now I'm going to hear from you, Mr. Coach Astidi. If you were Hokori's drafter here, if you're the coach still, would you be happy with this draft?
Yes, I think if they execute right, they win. If they're patient enough, they win. They're like, even they have Undying Hassa, they're not on the clock. Like the pressure is on Infamous side. Just be patient, you win.
Because of the Tiny, right?
Yeah, Tiny with Alacrity, it's broken. Like I'm surprised that Invoker made so far. I thought even Invoker was good for Infamous side, like just removing Tidehunter mana, buffing TA, reaching times faster. But I like Hokori's draft most.
Okay. Duster, do you side with Astidi? Do you also like Hokori's draft, or do you see something in Infamous?
I'll go with Infamous. I'm a Undying hater. I don't like Hokori's draft. I would hate to play Undying in this situation because, as Tini said, you're not thinking about snowballing, just mostly farming and getting your items. And doing this as Undying means you're only gonna feed and drop some tombstone, break some smokes. You know, you're not gonna be playing Dota actively. So I hate this. I'll go with Infamous.
Okay, as valid reason as any, our panel is divided. Astini going the way of Hokori, supporting his old team. Duster going against Undying, therefore supporting Infamous. We're going to see what awaits us in game number 1 of this series as we go over to our wonderful casting pair. This time we have a new caster joining us. It's going to be Richie SeekNStrike Dota, joined by his cat Winter.
Yes, indeed. Oh, there he is. Unfortunately, I don't have my cat here. She didn't really want to sit, but I have replaced my cat Winter with my co-commentator Winter. Good morning, my friend. How's it going for you?
Good morning. Good morning. Haven't had my breakfast, so still hungry.
Well, hopefully you've got a big appetite, because I think we're in for a big series here between Infamous and Hokori, as we're now loading into the map. What's your opinions, though, on this Undying hero right now? A while ago, I told you it was free MMR, and then you started playing a bit and ended up agreeing with me. But Alvo and I were casting some Western European Dota, I think even just yesterday, and we saw it basically get dismantled. Where do you think this hero kind of sits? Are you more agreeing with Duster, or do you think it's got a little bit more potential than that?
Nah, I'm an Undying spammer, so I kind of like the hero.
Okay.
I feel like the talent with the minus cooldown on the tombstone plus the shard, it's what enables him to keep fighting. Even though they didn't really like the the draft with the Undying because they felt like the Tide plus the Tiny and plus Invoker. Oh, there might be a first bird soon. Our friend Undying.
Yeah, he has taken that first point already. Well, Scott might have gone a bit too far, in fact, as he's committed the Burrow Strike, and even though that's only a minuscule jump for him, it's a giant leap for Scorpion Kind, one which he will not be able to back himself down from, so that's going to be first blood towards Hokori, despite that looking very poorly for Garde.
Yeah, but then he had to skill Tombstone. Means the lane is not gonna be so good for the Tiny without decay.
It's a good point. Does it make a difference that they know that it's Burrow Strike level 1 and not something like, I don't know, Sandstorm or Caustic instead?
Nah, I think it's fine. With Grimstroke, if you skill Power Strike, you can play very aggressive the first couple of waves. I kind of like it in certain lane matchups. If you have a very aggressive support, I feel like it's good to have the stun at level 1 so you can pressure.
Shifting a little bit more out of lanes and into the more late game, how do you see this game developing more? Sounded like Astini was pretty confident in the late game potential of an Alacrity Tiny. And I have to say, when he's walking around with like 300, 400 base damage with a Korean Alacrity, that does sound pretty scary. Do Infamous have a late game strategy here?
I mean, I think not really though. With TA, it's like your aim is to finish the game. You have a couple of timings, right? With the Deso, BKB, Blink. All these are your very, very good timings on the hero. And I feel like TA is also quite a broken hero. They've been mentioning about Tiny being the broken hero, but I think TA is also a very broken hero.
Okay. What about her is broken? Is it her farming speed? Because I've definitely seen that a couple of times this DPC so far.
Yeah, it takes a lot of boxes. As a carry, you can fight, you can take Ancients, you can take Roche, you kill buildings, you kill supports, you have Silence with the trap. I mean, she just does way too much for your team. And she's kind of one of those carries where I feel like, I've been mentioning this a lot in my cast, where you need a carry that can help your team get rich at the same time. Not just you getting rich alone, and TA fits that box. She helps the team, she fights, she has... she gives her supports a lot of space in the map. And I think overall, just a very, very good core hero right now.
Okay. Okay, so we'll see how Lumiere does on those first couple of power spikes. Usually it's going to be something like a Dragonlance first is quite typical for a safe lane TA after those boots, and then Deso, and we'll see where the game leads us from there. But those are some significant power spikes, especially on a TA. I think, especially if you've watched a fair amount of competitive Dota 2, you're very familiar with those. What's something Hokori can do to kind of prepare themselves for those individual power spikes when they know Infamous is going to be running at them? How powerful is a tool like Ravage, for example?
I mean, it's a long cooldown, but they have to make it count. They have very big spells, the Ravage, the Shaman ulti. All those are going to be very, very useful in defending the towers, getting Roche. Grimstroke as well on the Undying.
Arctic, now he's got that point in the decay, so he's actually going to fight through this one as they will dispatch the Tombstone, but Slavin receives a tree to the face, and that will nuke him down. Oscar out of mana, but quite tanky here with the Bracer. He's going to be able to walk off this damage.
Yeah, I mean, even though he didn't have Tombstone, I didn't have Decay at level 1, but still, when he gets the Decay at level 2, and Undying is still very, very good on the lane, especially when you have kill potential. I kind of like to play Undying the lane when you have a partner which has a stun.
Yeah, this bottom lane was looking a little bit dicey there. Level 2 between the Gush and now the Shackles. That Gush minus armor slowing the TA, and of course these Shaman auto attacks, they hurt.
Yeah,
man.
77.
Avo and I, we casted I think it was a Western Year game, could have been an NA game, but quite recently this week where it was Tide and a Shaman versus a Dusa, and this lane was a bully. Yeah, he could quite struggle in this lane as well if she's not careful.
Yeah, look at the Tide. He didn't even have the skill Kraken Shell because he's so confident in the lane.
Oh, now they're going to look here for the first meld point on a kill onto Theo Licor. He's got a stick charge to keep him alive and a healing salve, so we will be able to walk off the damage.
Yeah, always have healing salves on the lane as supports. I think it's pretty underrated sometimes that when you use your healing salve, and then you should send another one more to the lane.
Analog, just checking in with our mid lane matchup. This is kind of just a you farm, I farm kind of lane where Analog's able to poke and harass, but he is chugging along very nicely, right? He's got his full Urn of Shadows. Alone with the bottle is not going to be too bothered here, really, by the Invoker.
I mean, it's gonna be a competition of who gets the runes and the rotations. Like if Invoker is gonna be rotating, the Corp is gonna be there. Same goes for the other way around. Top lane,
Yep, Gardic. He's going to erect the tombstone here, but that's a big ink swell that's going to catch not only him, but also Yuma briefly. Gardic, though, keeps himself alive. He's got a Soul Rip. And Oscar is going to take cover here in the level 1 Sandstorm, which will get him out of this one. Gardic, considering chasing, as is Yuma, actually. Has a Tree Toss, level 2 at the ready. As the Inkswell slows Gardic, Decay is going to be useful in securing the kill. As now Gardic, he's pretty happy to die here, but might not even need to go. No, he will.
Oh, he lost the buff.
Yeah, he lost 1 stack of Decay there, and right as the auto attack hit him, that was enough damage to kill him.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That has happened to me many times.
You got to be careful. It always feels a little bit bad whenever you have decay stacks because you know you're going to lose them, and also it makes your regen a lot weaker, doesn't it? Eating a tango when you have like 20 stolen strength just doesn't feel good.
You want to use your regen items when you have you lost your buff, when you don't have the buffs.
Yeah, and then usually you only lose your buff when you're out of mana, and then you're like, well, I might as well deny myself under tower. It's kind of a weird game the Undying has to play, isn't it?
Yeah, or you just fight until you die. Same like Skywrath, you know, Undying and Skywrath.
They are going to get some decent damage now on Ethereal Core. He turns with the Shackles, full duration. A decent heal now, of course, as those do end up healing Shaman for the same amount he damages. However, Ethereal Core is going to die to the second Melt Strike here from Lumiere. Mid lane, something a little bit more noteworthy here, Winter, is that this Invoker analog with 11 denies here already. It's not going to really stop Quap from farming too much, of course, with Scream of Pain level 2, but it's kind of significant here.
Yeah, he went for the double null, so he actually has more damage than the Quap in the lane.
And he's got Brown Boots on the way, so these Invoker rotations are going to be a little bit more viable now that he can actually move. But right now...
6-minute rune.
That's a DD even, and with the Tombstone and the body blocks from Gardic, that is going to be the first kill for Invoker Analog, which is going to give him his first 2 earn charges. Quap has TP'd to the mid lane.
Yeah.
So Analog can look to TP to another lane, and Alone will not be able to match him, especially after he clears the wagon.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good point. That's a big deal. Now the Quap has to stay in the lane to defend.
Yep. He's cleared the wagon, and Oscar is in some trouble top. No, he's going to be A-okay. Yeah, I would consider that, especially now that Analog has boots. It looks like he's going to try for some tower damage instead. Has a little bit of kill threat, actually, versus this Quap.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
He's destroying this lane.
Yep. Not sure exactly how many points in Quas you need for Ice Snap to prevent a Queen of Pain from blinking away between the Urn procs, but you know, the DD rune, the Urn charges, it was definitely scaring Alone.
Oh, Tornado, EMP. He's gonna lose everything.
Yeah, no Urn, but of course Alone blinking in for that one had no recourse to escape.
That's pretty bad. So the Quap is pretty much useless right now. She can't really help any of the lanes. Bot lane, Shaman, but he should be fine. Tide's doing pretty well in this lane. TA is not too bad. Just a couple CS behind.
Not too bad for the TA at all, but right now Hokori leading all 3 lanes comfortably. Top lane's a little bit of a... Well, not quite, right? Because Lylene actually has got a decent amount of CS himself here, having secured a lot of the range creeps, I imagine, with this level 2 Stroke of Fate. He's got full mana boots now, and he's going to go ahead and top up Alone here.
Oh, your dream start as Grimstroke, getting an early mana boots.
That's so nice. He's even queued up a Blink Dagger here, so he has high aspirations, Winter.
Blink Dagger, yeah?
Yeah. It's not the item I completely expected this game. Not a fantastic, of course, with a tiny carry, not a fantastic game to be dreaming of something like an Ag Scepter. We've been seeing a couple of position 4s when they have the money opt for something like a Helm of Dominator instead. I believe OG opting for it twice in their series.
I kind of like the shard this game because the enemy has a lot of hard disables, and the dispel is actually pretty nice. I think overall when you're going in.
Plus it still heals, right?
Yeah, it heals too. I think overall, when you have a Sand King or you have a hero that always constantly likes to go in, as Grimstroke, I personally like to get the shard early.
Speaking of early, not really too early, basically right on time, Lumiere is going to end up rotating into the jungle. Is unable to farm this little stack. I think Vitali
I mean, preferably when your Sand King has Blink. Preferably.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a good ward here watching. Oh, it's going to be dewarded, though, even giving the XP to Lumiere. The cores, man,
the game now is a lot of it is just centralized around which hero has a good shot, you know, that's being picked.
Oh,
that's something I don't know.
Okay, he's going to use Burrow Strike at least to dodge the Tornado. However, it seems like he's still going to end up dying here to the Cold Snap Burn rotation. Okay, 3-man Sonic Wave, but where's the follow-up? Alone, he's going to do it himself as he blinks on in. The Inkswell is more to just evacuate him, however, as Slavin wasn't really on the same page there as his Quap.
That's pretty bad right now. The co-op has used her ulti. She doesn't really get too much from it. Invoker's still staying there.
Yeah,
really nice play.
The Cold Snap here, the toss is going to throw the Stampy there. Of course, that's not their own, so he's not going to actually stomp, but they don't need him to. He's got more than enough follow-up there with the
I swear it always happens, you know. When you gank as a mid laner and then you stay for a bit, you always get that bonus kill.
Yep, a +1. Just be patient.
Yeah.
And Invoker with shorter cooldowns than some mid laners, especially when you do end up getting that kill and refilling the urn. It's very nice. And in fact, he's going for the full Vessel here, Vessel Winter, almost having that one online immediately.
He has a haste rune. He's going back top again, it seems. This is a perfect rune for him.
Yep. Excuse me, Gardic, get out of my way, he says. Gardic says no. And so Analog says, okay, I'm not ganking. Back to mid lane I go.
Yeah, you don't really waste much time anyway, since you have haste.
Yeah, very true. Just taking a nice tour through the river. They were about to be scouted. I believe he was scouted as well by that ward that Infamous have above their triangle. So perhaps he saw the way that Sand King reacted and figured that that was going to be a kill not quite worth going for. But bad signs here for Infamous out of the laning stage as their Queen of Pain is going to be the poorest of the cores. Again, she can farm, but she will be kind of competing for a bit of farm alongside Oscar, who also had a little bit of a rough lane.
That's no good for Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain is like a very snowball momentum-based hero. And if you're not getting kills with the first couple of Sonic Waves, you're not farming well, that's really bad for you. Oh, they're going for early rush.
Yeah, wow, with the Serpent Wards, this is possible. And again, with the Tombstone Zombies to help tank through Roche, this might be doable. I believe this might have been scouted, though. No, not quite. That Ward Scout is not going to let them see anymore. And in fact, it's going to be Gardic who sees a big ancient, or not ancient stack. Well, he sees an ancient stack, but a bigger hard camp stack. It's going to trigger some rotations here. Gardic will fall. Roche, though, is dropping mighty fast, and that is going to be first Aegis here basically snatched and stolen by Yuma. In fact, the fight now breaking out, as they will be able to clear at least Affliction. They'll cleans them up there with the EMP. And they're thinking about maybe
they're going to take the stack?
Can they do this?
I don't think they can do much right now. It's too fast.
Got Epicenter, the double stun being a little bit wonky there, but the toss interrupting at least the Epi. Is going to be forced to restart it. Now the Cold Snap is going to prevent Oscar from getting it off at all. Dali holding on to the Ravage here as the rest of Hokori simply back away. I didn't actually see who got the most of those last hits. We're not done fighting quite yet. Nice Shackles here is going to catch Alone. There's finally the stun to come through, and a 2x multicast with the TA damage is going to nuke through the Shaman. Analog turning.
Oh, Ravage, big Ravage.
Swap blinked into this, and she will be taking the short trip back to the Fountain. Tombstone now. What level is this Tombstone here? Level 3 is dropped. Zoskat this time does get the Epi off. Good damage onto one. Gardic still alive, but another multicast on the Fire Blast will nuke him down. Shri toss towards Slavin is going to be ignored by the smoke. It even seems like the same smoke is going to save the life of Oscar.
Very nice. Very nice. I mean, I think they got a little bit too greedy initially, trying to, trying to force the fight there. Because the Tide, he was waiting for Soaring when they were about to fight in the Ancients. His Soaring was on cooldown, didn't have mana for the Ravage. They had to wait for that.
And like you're saying about this this TA hero, right, kind of being a make your cores rich hero, immediately we see Oscar take a pretty big leap in terms of net worth after he gets at least one kill there. Lumiere, of course, participating in that fight with basically just Dragonlance and Shreds, is also now going to leapfrog to the top of the the net worth charts himself. So again, a decent stabilization here.
Very important that your carries, they can actually come and help the team nowadays. If your carry is he doesn't have like a specific item that he can get early, like a diffuser, for example.
For Oscar into the mid lane. Tornado's pretty good, but the Inkswell stun's still going to get him, and that's Alone to secure it. Nice little bounty at 350 gold.
That was like a rage Sonic Wave. I can feel it. You bully me the whole early game. Screw you.
He wanted that killing streak as well, which do give a little bit more gold. Ty's just going to TP into this. They've got a pretty good counter him, though, with this Phantom's Embrace. Oscar's even going to follow up stun. He is tanky, though. as you're saying, Gardic throwing down the tombstone is throwing over the Tide Hunter is going to be Yuma. Oscar with a quick jump up to the high ground. The tree will chase him and find the kill.
This is what we've been seeing a lot now with carries, you know. All the carries, you have to have an early item, like for this instance, a Tiny as an Echo, and you can come to the fights, all these early tower defenses, all these early fights. Imagine they defended the tower without having Ravage.
They still don't have Ravage, but they will in 15 more seconds. Tombstone on cooldown for an additional 40. Epicenter is ready to go alongside this Blink Dagger, but still dead and now respawning. They won't be able to defend that tier 1 tower push.
Yeah, and
now
TA can't get a trade at top as well.
Nope.
Shaman's here defending, but seems like he's gonna get it. At the end of the day,
Hokori want to fight into this one. They might pretend to just kind of leave the lane. It's maybe a bit of a fake back, trying to get the TA to farm one more wave. But Lumiere, he's going to take some safe farm. He's going to send the Scorpion in his place and to die. But Oscar thinking about fighting here because he's got the ward down. He thought he was going to find them. A fast blink away by Oscar, though. Didn't quite catch him.
that smoke was a little bit too late. They wanted to not allow the TA to get the tower, but she still got it. She has her Deso now. And she's gonna go for the blink next, but she's pretty strong already right now if she wants to go to the fight. I think in this game, you're definitely gonna need the BKB. Or for TA, it's
right?
pretty important for her to get the BKB this game.
Do you? Why do you think that Lumiere is going for blink before BKB?
I mean, it's just overall like a nice thing to have. It helps you farm as well. Like if you go Dragonlance, Deso, and then BKB. Even if you have the BKB, you cannot kill anybody, you cannot fight because you don't have mobility. That's why you always get Blink before the BKB. Most of the time, 99% of the time.
Sure. Yeah, I've seen on the safe lane co-ops, I've seen that go not quite 50-50. I think it more depends on your team's lineup. But yeah, I think that makes sense to me, right? More of a farming item. And that kind of sucks for Hokori, right? Because to Duster's point, he was talking about how this Undying's going to... I mean, what is he to do, basically, right? He's just kind of walking around. Sure, he's doing support things, de-warding, breaking smokes, right?
But dropping tombstones. That's your job.
Yeah, dropping tombstones. I mean, what else is he going to do now for the next, I don't know, 10 minutes before we have a nice big fight? This kind of sucks for him, right?
I mean, that's Undying, you know. You do well in your lane, you help with Roche and tower pushing, and apart from that, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from. Apart from those duties, you're just breaking smoke and feeding and placing wards. Yeah, I mean, it's true what he's saying.
Yeah, even the Shaman here is getting involved with a little bit of a split pushing action down bottom as he will drop the Serpent Wards to help support the Catapult wave. Catapult, which literally, by the way, has 1 HP. And will be taking
Oh, they have a ward. No wonder they see him. They have a ward there. Yeah. I was like, how did they see him?
Ardek's going to live through that. Does drop his max level Tombstone now. As Analog is not going to be building into the Midas to try and go, you know, the scaling Exhort Invoker build into Ags like we used to see. I'm starting to see this build kind of fall out of favor. That Midas build a little bit more, at least when I was looking at like BZM and a couple of other European mid laners. I'm not sure about SA as much. I didn't get the chance to really do a deep dive here. But it seems like Lumiere or Analog is following that trend.
I kind of like it this game because the Tide and the Tiny, they're both relatively greedy heroes. And if you go for the Midas on the Invoker, this game I feel like it might be too much for a team to handle. And the way he's playing it right now, it's more like a buffer for the Tiny. You want to cast your Solar Crest and your Alacrity on him. And the Tide is just going to stand in front and protect the Tiny. Because they have this Tombstone plus the Shaman wards. So it's very easy for them to hit a very... if they get like 1 or 2 key kills, they can go hit buildings very easily with those spells.
Now Tide with Blink is going into Sag Scepter as alone. Jumping forward, there is a Ravage.
He definitely considered ravaging the corp.
Yep. I would have considered it as well. In fact, I might have let it rip. Wouldn't have been enough follow-up there anyway. Okay, so first Aegis has been reclaimed. This is going to be second Roche, maybe respawning in a minute. Yuma has now the Ag Shard, Blink Dagger on top of the Echo Saber, so here comes a smoke play now from Hokori.
He has Blink as well.
Scott. He's going to make the jump onto Vitali. The Phantom's
the silence
to prevent the Ravage from coming through. They need to clear that Phantom, but they're not doing it quite yet. Now they've done it. Ravage is out. Oscar is dead, and the rest of Infamous are scattering. They don't like the way this fight is going, and for good reason. Gardic running them down. He's already put down the Tombstone, doing 25 damage now. The slotting with the Dust is alone. Counter-initiating now with the Inkswell. Has caught Analog for a decent stun, but there's absolutely no follow-up, and Alone is just going to die.
He is definitely tilted from the lane. I can feel it. Like he just blinked in like that.
is
my
lucky
God.
to blink away, as XL is going to be the 4th and final hero to die here. But yeah, that was a very aggressive blink, wasn't it?
I mean, I felt like they went on the tide in a very like the positioning was so awkward. Their team was like so far away. I didn't feel like they could have actually taken that fight. We see another Battle Strike here.
That's
Yep,
better.
They get the,
It's time to get it right onto analog.
Yeah, they get the analog invoker this time. But I feel like they have to be very careful with taking the fights. I'm not sure if the tide should be even though you have the Grimstroke Silence and the Kraken Shell doesn't remove that. I'm not sure if he's the first hero that you should go on. I feel like they have to like try to jump the Undying and the Shaman, the back lines. If they don't see these two heroes, it's not that wise for them to jump on the tide right away.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, even if you're silenced and you can't clear the Phantom's Embrace, you can still get off your Hooded Defiance. And although Pipe is kind of a bad item and has been for a while, Pipe is very good. 350 damage block for basically Epicenter. It's amazing. You've got Kraken Shell to tank you up versus all the physical damage. I mean, they don't really go through that tide that quickly. I agree with you completely there.
Oh, Tombstone. Just the D-Ward.
Yeah. And they know, and they have it scouted the attempted start at this Roche. Roche number 2 already here at the 20-minute mark. Has Aegis, has Aegis Shard as well. Of course, TA would very much like to get her hands on this Aegis. Would secure her BKB, essentially, the time to farm BKB. So let's give you this trap, Silence, right? Which is going to be very useful for canceling things like Shackles or maybe stopping them out of toss combo.
I mean, once she gets her BKB, I think that's the time when they can truly start to start the fight on the tide and they can kill the tide. If TA doesn't have BKB, I don't see that happening. But once she gets that, I can see them jumping on the tide and with the silence and killing the tide from full to 0. But before that,
just to translate the all chat there was a bit of a server spike that I think we all felt, and they paused briefly and said, I think now it's passed already. I believe it's passed, I believe is what was said. So we're good to go yet again, as Infamous will smoke and head into the enemy triangle, which is currently vacant. They're going to definitely know this, because of course...
Yeah, but that's a rather strange move, because Roche is up. You generally don't really want to leave the area around Roche, and...
Hokori.
I mean, it's just like a high-risk, low-reward play, you know. Maybe they get a pick-off, maybe not, but, you know, it doesn't feel good when you know Roche is up and you're leaving the area.
No, agreed. I mean, look at how many sentries that Infamous has put down on this side of the map.
Yeah.
Like, just how much they've invested in this side, right?
I don't feel like they have too many left. I mean, I can't really see it, but I think maybe 1 or 2 left only. And it's pretty important they have to, when they're trying to place all these sentries and observers around the Roche area, they have to stay there and guard the area.
Smoke number 2. I don't believe this one was caught by this observer ward that Hokori had down, but Roche is started up. This TA trap will now scout them. Scott didn't make the jump on that Inkswell. Now Vidali, he's captured the Arcane Rune. Arcane Ravage sounds pretty juicy right about now. Is Roche already half HP? Basically just Serpent Ward's doing the bulk of the work here. There goes Oscar, he's in onto the Undying, and the Nullstrike will nuke him, 100-0, but that's Epicenter also used, and Undying simply buys back. Roche, now an 1/8 of his HP remaining. Oscar has Bro Strike in another second, but can't quite get in time, as Yuma will capture the Ag Shard as well as the Aegis. All the loot going to Hokori as well as the kill, but now the 2-man Soulbind here is going to trigger the Ravage out from Vitali. Yuma wants to go for more. Everyone's kind of slowed, though, as they did double up and maybe even triple up there on the Ignite. Infamous unable to really contest that Roche.
He really wanted to use the Ravage with Arcane.
Why not, eh? 80-second cooldown. He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, they got Roche. Nobody died, right? Yeah, nobody died.
Nobody died? Undying. He bought back.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
true. The sad Undying.
What else is he going to do? Tanks the smoke. They're happy with him.
Hey, if you get rich with Undying, you do a lot.
Yeah? Like what?
Yes, the stone.
It's true, Philosopher's Stone.
One day it's gonna happen. One day.
You know what the Philosopher's Stone is from?
Harry Potter?
No. It is from, whoa, did you see that blink? Vitali's like, I'm gonna dodge that Ignite. It is from an alchemy book from like the 1600s. They said that was something that you would build and it would turn items into gold.
Isn't that Midas?
No. Midas was different. You're thinking of King Midas, where he touched his son and he turned to gold.
They don't hear what we heard.
No, they don't. Probably for the best.
Yeah, some things are just better not known.
Very true. Very true. Right now, though, unknown to Hokori, there is a 9-second BKB ready for this TA.
Oh,
as
in the
they will
Sand
make
King.
the jump aggressively onto Oscar once again. Saved simply just by Sandstorm and Burrow striking away. Too big of an investment from Hokori anyway, and in fact, they've caught bigger fish. Lumiere, affected by the cold snap, of course, can still blink because he had refraction up. Hokori unable to also find the TA.
Yeah, they have all their spells up pretty
Okay.
much, so it's time for them to go. Does he have TP? Oh, they know he doesn't have TP, right?
I
he's dead,
believe they've caught vision of him there. Only just a glimpse. Dust is ready to go in 1 more second. They're going to drop a meatball on him. 25 more damage out from the Shaman. Hexed up. And they're going to let him tick down.
Wait,
to
Tombstone?
the Invoker,
Oh, they lost
but
vision.
They used Tombstone, I suppose.
I mean, they lost vision, that's why.
Middle?
Top lane, solo kill? Solo kill?
Is it? Yeah, well, it's just a Shaman. He's got his shard now, and he did commit the Serpent Wards for this. And in fact, Lumiere is quickly closing the gap here, wants to punish the Shaman. There's going to be the Meld Strike, and just about 3 hits is all they needed there.
Oh, TA? Oh!
She's gone deep. Avatos does not have TP, has BKB. Is going to be in a bit of trouble as Vitali's just looking to body block the Templar Assassin. A quick little melt does allow her to at least get the blink off safely, but Vitali is going to give chase with a blink of his own. Has a Ravage ready to go. Likely not going to need it here, as Yuma with his own blink also will close the gap. And that is going to be a position 5. Make that a position 4 for your hard carry.
I mean, I don't know about you. I see this happen a lot. With TA players, they go for like a high risk kill, and then they don't want to use their BKB to TP out, and then they just die. I swear it always happens with TA.
Relying on the meld, and now we're going to start to see just a glimpse of this late game Tiny, aren't we? Alacrity and Solar Crest on this Invoker, buffing up the Tiny. Not even there for that tower, but eventually.
Yeah. I actually really like how he's playing the Invoker this game. Like usually, like you mentioned earlier, like you want to go for the Midas, get your axe because you have a tight Ravage and you want that Cataclysm. But this game, he's just playing more for the Tiny, and I kind of like how he's playing it.
And I guess, I mean, this game, I don't think Cataclysm is the best tool to get through a TA, right? I mean, she's got refraction and she's pretty good against those single target.
It's still good for the team fight in the in the team fight
100%,
overall.
right? It's gonna kill a Quap, it'll kill the supports, right? Yeah, I mean, that's true, right? TA, I don't think she's one of these heroes that can 1v5, or is she? Do you think a TA, in a good TA game, can 1v5?
It's always a good TA game.
Is
I mean,
it?
that's not accurate. It's never a bad TA game.
I like that. I like the inverse. I like the inverse.
I feel like when you're playing against Bat or Venom, the classic counters, you still don't feel so bad because of how fast you can snowball in the game, you know? Those heroes, they don't snowball as fast as you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. There's a gem, by the way, now, and yep, there's going to be that AoE Gush available for the Tide
They're
Hunter.
trying to take this fight. They have to try to... I feel like they have to try to... If they are going to defend the tower, they need to try to get the support. So try maybe a wraparound smoke or hide in a sneaky location.
They're picking a good time. The Sages is going to be reclaimed here momentarily. There it goes from Yuma.
I mean, the Invoker has no BKB. They can burst the Invoker if they can get him.
If they can get him, and if they can sneak up to him. Right now, Hokori playing a very mean vision game. They've had an Observer Ward on this cliff that they're hugging for probably the past 12 minutes or so, it feels
That's the
like.
right play. Hug your vision. You know how much your support sacrifice
Yeah.
to place those vision?
Listen,
Don't just
wards,
let
they
it
may
go.
be free, but Winter, tell us about how much it used to suck to play support.
Yeah.
Tell us
man.
about it.
Every game
Upgrading a courier.
you spend all your gold on that, buying dust, smoke. You only have tranquil boots and a bracer. You place the ward and you ping the high ground, your team just leaves and they don't defend the ward.
Pain. Pain.
Yeah, that's my only net worth, you know, that ward there.
They used to, what, cost 75, 100 gold or something? They were expensive.
Yeah, 100 gold.
150 for a pair of sentries.
Yeah, those times,
80 for
man.
dust.
Yeah, TPs also cost gold, by the way.
Yep. 210 to upgrade your courier.
Oh,
It was brutal.
Sand King is looking for a target here.
Yeah,
Can they find the
they
supports?
found the
Invoker?
Invoker. That's a good jump with the Ravage counter initiate. They've immediately stopped this one dead in its tracks. Yuma nearly one-shotting the Scorpion. And he's going to toss the tree as a very cold welcome when he returns, as if the ice wall wasn't cold enough. No ultis used there by Infamous, at least.
That was way too far forward, even though they got the Invoker. They just couldn't follow up.
Strike the scout in the trees, and the follow-up seems mighty difficult there. That's
No,
gonna be
Alacrity,
number
Tiny.
1. Oh, here he goes. Solar Crest with 6 shots on the towers in, what, 4 seconds? That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
tiny.
he had AC.
Tiny. What's his attack speed? Even with just AC, his attack speed is just okay at 79. Echo
I mean, if
Saber,
you hit-
sure, but my
If you
goodness.
hit hard, doesn't have to be fast.
Well, or you can just do both by having the Solar Crest buff.
mean, wait till
Almost
he-
doubling his attack speed with the active.
We'll wait till he gets Moonshot.
Well, not yet anyway. He's going for a Daedalus first. It feels like he's got enough attack speed right now anyway, between
Yeah.
Solar Crest and Alacrity. And you know what? I agree with him. Go for more bonus damage. In fact, he hasn't built a crit, right? So I think that's why he's really decided to go into it. Most Tinies will go for Shadow Blade into the Echo Saber pretty early on. In fact,
Yeah.
usually it's like Shadow Blade first or second item, and then eventually you upgrade after BKB. But this is kind of more like a mid lane Tiny build, isn't it?
I kind of like sometimes they go for a casual Chrysalis and then go for other items because you get a lot of value from that.
Big
Yeah,
enough
but I think
value.
but I think the Shadow Blade in some games is really useful. Maybe not so much this game, but I think overall the item is just very strong.
What would dissuade you from building a Shadow Blade this game?
I kind of feel like in the team fights, I'm gonna be fighting around the Tombstone and the Shaman wards anyway, and it's not really a split pushy kind of game. I feel like it's more like a group up game, so I wouldn't really put a lot of priority into getting the item, even though it's a really good item right now.
Sure, that makes sense. So you prioritize the mobility that Blink always gives you anyway, rather than the surprise factor
Yeah.
of the Shadow Blade. Yeah,
And
that tracks.
Invoker has travels anyway, so he's more or less gonna be the person dealing with the dead lanes or the waves going to the
Sure.
tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Tiny's most likely gonna be with his team.
They're letting this DD rune just kind of percolate a little bit. Of course, it's going to expire in 45 seconds, and there goes Hokori pinging it a couple more times. No one, of course, Invoker doesn't build bottle. There's the casual Crystallis now you're talking about. And Yuma will
Well,
secure
if
that.
he- if he
Roshan just
finishes-
respawned.
I mean, if he
Oh, no.
finishes the Daedalus, it's not casual anymore.
Oh no, this is gonna be, that was fast. Avert your eyes. You're under the age of 18. That was absolutely brutal towards what they did to Roche.
Oh, they killed the ward. They got a ward in exchange.
Well, they finally, yeah, that's a big one at least. Hokori, well, they still hold the triangle though, and they are dispatching of these TA traps with ease.
Yeah, the Invoker is just going back. He's not even considering going bot to split push with his travel. He just wants to buff the Tiny.
They were convinced they were going to get it to someone there with the
Oh,
jump.
yes,
Well, Scott
Aegis.
with the jump on in. He does have Aegis. They've nearly cleaved through him, and now finally have. Lumiere focusing his attention now to the Tombstone, has now gotten rid of that as alone, doing a good job separating the team fight, but can't really stop Yuma from simply walking away. Doing good damage to Teal Licor, though, and will
nice
secure the kill
stun.
with that secondary blink with the Avalanche is amazing. Alone gets a blink out. The Gush, though, from the low ground. Vitali will spit on the Quap and find the kill. 2 buybacks
Oh,
now
the
from the
damage.
support some of Hokori. Ravage already... Oh, they still have Ravage.
He has
Good
one
eye.
more. You see, he has one more. Refresher shot.
And there it goes, onto Lumiere, and there goes the TA, 800 crit just with the Crystallis. Look who's back, it's Theo Licor. He's going to find the Hex now onto Oskar as Analog pops his own BKB. They've taken down the Troll, the Ogre rather, and now they look for the Sand King, 4 dead. That makes it very likely to be just about the game, as yep, Yuma straight onto tier 4s.
Look at that sound.
Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 shots at tier 4, and probably even less of that to the Ancients, as they will call the GG.
5, 6,
Hokori.
7, 8. Okay,
They take
Ancients is
game
10,
one.
10 hits. 6-10 hit for the Ancients. Yeah, just what a systematic game by Hokori. How they are playing around their spells, their cooldowns. I mean, there were certain points where they were maybe a bit over ambitious, but I think overall they were really good about using their timings, going for Roche. That early Roche, but at minute 11, is it 11? The first Roche
It was
pretty
earlier, yeah. It must have been about 11 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I just like how they, how they did all those timings with their spells, and they were really disciplined. They were moving, as a unit. And yeah, sure. And I think the MVP definitely goes for me personally, the Invoker. How much he won his lane. And the Corp just barely had any impact early on because of that.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I pointed out that lane was starting to be a little bit lopsided with the early deny advantage that Analog managed to accrue, but I really wasn't expecting it to get that ugly. I think Analog probably could have pressed his advantage a little bit more, right? As soon as Quap TP's back to the lane, he was content just chilling and putting tower pressure there, which doesn't allow Alone to do anything, let alone farm or gank. I do believe we have ourselves our panel ready to break down that game just a little bit more. So we're going to throw it on back over to Avo plus Astini and Duster to get their takes on what happened in Game 1.
Thank you, Richie. If you guys were in the chat for that game, it was a debate of how many calories broccoli has versus cauliflower. But I want to ask Winter how many calories that camera has, because he's been eating it up every time we see his face. Thank you, Winter, for always providing us great laughs. That Game 1, Astini, my question for you is, do you ever get tired of being right? Is this just a curse you have? Why were you so on point with the analysis there, Astini?
I still need to figure out more things to always be right, but hope like I'm happy.
Look at the humility. What a fake humility, Astini. I've seen your Twitter. Don't you pretend.
And like, I don't think it only has to do about draft. Like draft was maybe 730, but execution was 100-0. Like Hokori, they just played way better the game. Like something that Winter mentioned on that blink on Quap on a team fight is like, oh, I can see he's tilted, and I could see he was tilted from minute 7. So Analog just outplayed Alone, and it's just like a SA mid laner, the typical one that gets tilted. So really well played from laning stage to the Roche to the like snowballing with Aegis, second Roche, like perfect played by Hokori.
Do you agree with that assessment, Duster?
Yeah, Analog played great in the mid lane. Very responsible with the way he played, not trying to push his advantage too much, just chilling and pressuring. And I really liked the execution of the Shaman, the early Roches. As I mentioned, it's pretty OP. They did it with the +1. You could argue 2.5 with the Tombstone, but it was easy Roches, and it just makes you snowball so hard. But the first Aegis was a bit useless in a way. Like Tiny didn't use much, but the second with a shard just helped them so much to snowball.
Yeah. What about we talked a lot about the mid lane, but let's talk about the offlane for a second, Duster. You were talking about how strong you thought the Sanking was, but this game we didn't really see Oscar's impact. Why is that? Why was he so nullified this game?
Against the very tanky heroes like Tidehunter and Tiny, and Dying also kind of tanky. Like you can burst, of course, but you use a lot of spells. But I also think they always initiated the wrong targets. Like a couple fights he went on Tide thinking he could burst with the Epi and Inkswell, and it just didn't work. Like they miscalculated their damage, and Tide got the Ravage pretty much all of the fights, and it just ruined, because if you use all of your spells and your initiation on one hero and he doesn't die and he gets his Ravage off, it just ruins your team fight completely.
Right. Astini, as we close the post-game panel, we go to a break before that. I want to know from you. You said it was 70-30. Sorry, it was like 70-30 draft, but the execution was the main factor there. Fixing draft is kind of easy, just click different heroes, right? Theoretically. But how do you fix the execution mistakes from game 1 to game 2? Like, what is it that you can tell your team in this brief break that you have to make sure that they play the game 2 better?
Honestly, I would tell the less as possible, because when you fail so hard, you don't want to talk about it. You're just going to get more tilted. What I say is like, hey guys, take a 5-minute break. The one that smokes, go smoke. The one that want to drink water, go drink water. If a player meditates, that's amazing. That's what they need to do. But 99% of players, they don't respect that it's a must. But if you can meditate for 5 minutes, that's what you need. Like, just go read books about big sport names and what they did. That's what they do to get their mind on the right place. But yeah.
Okay. little call to meditation. I was not expecting you to answer that, Astini, so thank you for that information. As we go into a small break, we'll come back with game number 2 between Infamous and Hokori shortly, and we'll see you guys then.